How to save yourself when facing a hammerhead shark. What happens if you don't keep your distance from a moray eel? And why should you be afraid of even relatively small fish? Watch this episode to the end and you'll find it out. In this episode, you'll see the creepiest animal moments caught on camera in the ocean. Let's go. Tiger shark. These were the two words that the fisherman shouted several times as the underwater predator clung on this boat. Oh boy, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, for the man was literally one step away from a terrible end. If his boat had been less sturdy and it had fallen on its side, the shark wouldn't have given him a chance to survive. After all, the tiger shark is one of the most dangerous sharks of our time. Thanks to its long fins, it has amazing agility and maneuverability, and the strength of its jaws is enough to bite the prey in half in 2 seconds. And even if, in this situation, the guy climbed on top of the overturned boat, it'd still not save him. After all, not for nothing, these creatures are also called scavengers. In their stomachs, people have found shoes, bottles, coats, pieces of oars, and much more. Anything they can't digest, they simply regurgitate. Besides, tiger sharks are able to turn their stomachs out to quickly get rid of anything unnecessary. The next story happened to people who were sailing in the Strait of Gibraltar. This route is not new to them. They often go fishing along it and then return back to land. But that day, fishing was out of the question. The thing is, the people on the yacht came face to face with an orca, the most dangerous and smartest predator that leaves no chance for survival to the creatures it has its eyes on. At first, the men thought they were being chased by just one orca. Then, right behind it, a second one appeared. And then a third, a fourth, a fifth. People thought they were seeing things, but no, they were actually being chased by 30 killer creatures. They're called sea wolves for a reason. They hunt in packs, or to be more precisely, in pods all the time. They're characterized by complex strategic schemes where each individual takes its place on the battlefield. In the case of the first failure of these predators, they regroup and continue the attack. They're very persistent hunters, usually getting what they came for. They're very friendly with each other, generous, and share the prey equally. There's no misunderstanding among the group because the interests of the pod are above their own. In short, it's better not to get into conflicts with them. The fishermen were very lucky that they managed to swim to the shallow water because orcas, judging by the gnawed-off parts of the yacht, had already started to realize their large-scale plan. And if you think that they would not sink such a large yacht, then just keep in mind that their bite force is about 4 to 5 times more powerful than that of the great white shark. Here's another one of their attacks and proof that they're capable of doing many things. It happened off the coast of Portugal. The toothed whales attacked a yacht and ripped off the rudder in front of the yacht owner. The 70-year-old man was speechless as he had no idea that his 30-foot yacht could be attacked by one of the sea hunters. Fortunately, the attack ended without anyone getting hurt. But as the authorities said later, such cases are becoming more frequent. Orcas are attacking people's ships more and more often, and unfortunately, sometimes they manage to realize their terrible plans. Secret trick. In fact, whether you're swimming in the open ocean or diving somewhere in a secluded place, there may be some kind of danger waiting for you anywhere. In this story, for example, the man just dived underwater and looked around, capturing the beauty of the bottom on camera. It's his hobby, what's wrong with that? But suddenly, a hungry hammerhead shark interrupted the filming. Apparently, that day it acted as a guard of the territory and received an order to punish people for unauthorized filming. However, the man turned out not to be a simple one. He knew his rights, so he was not frightened and hit back at the insolent predator. This both scared the predator and allowed the diver to get legendary footage that he will not forget for the rest of his life. Eventually, the man climbed back onto the boat and sailed away for good. As he said later, he was very lucky. After all, he only noticed the shark out of the corner of his eye as it was approaching from the side. If he had been even a moment slower, his life would have been over. But it's not only orcas or sharks that attack people. Sometimes even smaller creatures show aggression. After all, who said that a small one cannot be aggressive and confident, right? The moray eel can definitely stand up for itself. So if suddenly it doesn't like how it's filmed by a diver, it can jump on him like this, and then the diver won't be able to get rid of it. In fact, although these fish have a short character, they're not used to swimming in the open and look for prey directly. There's a reason they have such an admirable camouflage from nature, right? This fish skillfully blends in with its surroundings. The skin of the moray eel is covered with a special layer of mucus, characterized by pronounced anti-parasitic effects. Color is somewhat similar to that of the leopard. The head of the individual, its fins, and the upper parts of the body are painted in a yellow-brown shade. Most often, they're strewn with dark spots of different size. At the same time, the belly of the moray eel never has a pattern. However, this does not mean that moray eels only hide from problems. Not at all, because they have two pairs of jaws. To swallow their prey, they often use an extra one. They tenaciously grab the prey and literally push it further. Interestingly, the front teeth of the moray eel are always directed backward and accordingly work on the same principle as a bear trap, tightly capturing the prey. Thus, octopuses, squid, and some crabs become its prey, but it's also not averse to eating something larger. It's very self-confident. Toothy fish. As far as I know, diving in Egypt is quite popular. Many people like to look at corals, study fish unknown to them before, and so on. Too bad the guides don't warn people that at any moment they could be attacked by a toothy monster like this. I don't know what kind of fish it is, but its teeth are just like human teeth. Actually, they're even much sharper. Look how it bit the guy's leg. But don't rush to ride with unpleasant sensations. Everything was fine with him. Moreover, the diver found it all funny. And, you know, in a way, I agree with the guy in the previous story. The fact that he was bitten by that small toothy fish is not so serious. It's much more unlucky for people who encounter a leopard seal. This is a real king of Antarctica with a charming smile that hides very powerful jaws and a nimble outlook on life. This bandit is found almost all along the coast of Antarctica. Sometimes the leopard seal remembers its African feline relatives and swims to bask on the sunny shores of South Australia, South America, and New Zealand. With a body length of 10 to 13 feet, it usually weighs no more than 880 pounds. According to the leopard seal, these are ideal proportions that leave it moderately strong and powerful, and at the same time fast and maneuverable. It can accelerate up to 25 miles per hour. Having gained such power, the leopard seal literally went crazy and began not just to dominate the aquatic environment, to mock its prey. Scientists constantly see games with prey in its behavior. These psychos chase their prey across the expanses of water until it disappears or falls dead without necessarily eating the prey. Scientists cannot give a precise answer as to the reason for this behavior of leopard seals, but it's believed that this way they can simply train and hone their skills. Satan shark. What do you know about horror in the depths of the sea? I think nothing even close to the footage taken by divers in Australia. They were swimming near the city of Port Lincoln and suddenly encountered a shark. It's unclear exactly what species this giant predator belonged to, but that's not what's so interesting. Here, take a look at this picture. Does it remind you of anything? That's right, the shark's torso is shaped as if it were not a fish at all, but some kind of Satan in the flesh. The epic photo immediately went viral on the internet and caused a storm of different emotions. There were even those who took the photo as a fake, even though it was not. Real thriller. If you do have the courage to go scuba diving, at least don't do it alone. Why not? You'll see why. A man named Cody is an experienced diver from Queensland. It seems that nothing can surprise or scare him, but it's not the case. An unfortunate set of circumstances led to the fact that his boat overturned and it began to sink gradually. Since the man went sailing alone, no one could save him, and he only had to rely on the radio and help by helicopter. It took about an hour to wait, and the situation was not easy. In fact, before going into the ocean, the man saw 6 13-foot-long tiger sharks in the area. If they'd spotted Cody in the water, they'd definitely be interested in him. In the end, the diver still got help, although it was not possible to find him the first time. Doctors examined Cody and found that his life was not in danger. But now the young man has a valuable advice for everyone: never go diving alone. What other dangerous and unique animals live in the water? I'll tell you now. Meet Cassius. Have you ever heard of Cassius? No, not the legendary Muhammad Ali, who had that name at birth, but the giant crocodile, one of the largest on the planet. He was caught in 1984 and immediately placed in a zoo where he lives to this day. The length of the monster is about 18 feet, and it weighs a ton. At the same time, the age of the reptile is more than 110 years. By the way, do you know what the big guy got for his birthday? At his 110th birthday, the Rangers brought him a 44-pound pie with chickens, which he gobbled up in less than a minute. Members of his species have no trouble living in saltwater, but they usually live in mangrove swamps, deltas, lagoons, and downstream rivers. Judging by the many scars and the missing part of the tail, Cassius had a very busy life full of fights. It's because of this, by the way, that he was named after the famous boxer. However, this animal is not the only bully and dangerous inhabitant of the planet as a whole. His congeners certainly pose no less danger to humans and all life around. Saltwater crocodiles are the largest of modern crocodiles. Moreover, the saltwater crocodile is one of the largest modern predators on our planet. It's superior to the polar bear in terms of length and weight, with the polar bear being inferior in terms of size to some toothed whales, sharks, and killer whales. It's said that its head alone can weigh more than 440 pounds. Here's another interesting fact about this monster. It's able to do without food for up to 6 months. It also has an unusual method of diving underwater. To do this, the saltwater crocodile specially swallows a couple of large stones, serving as a ballast. The leatherback sea turtle is the largest modern turtle in the world. Usually these creatures are up to 8.2 feet long, have a flipper span of up to 16 feet, and weigh 1,300 pounds. Despite such size, there's nothing bad to say about this turtle in terms of appearance. To some, it may even seem cute. But if you look into its mouth, everything immediately falls into place. Just look at it. It's a creepy sight. All these outgrowths are nothing but teeth, with which the turtle is ready to deal with absolutely any prey, like a meat grinder. Moreover, these teeth cover not only the turtle's throat, but also its entire esophagus. As you may have noticed, the teeth are directed inwards. Such a device allows the reptile to successfully push the slippery food straight to the stomach and not let it make an extra movement in the opposite direction. The poor creatures that are destined for such a fate are mostly small fish, crustaceans, algae, and jellyfish. The only good thing is that leatherback sea turtles do not live in large groups. They're used to traveling alone, sleeping, resting, gaining strength, and hunting only when they really need it. Therefore, if a male has discovered a female on the horizon, they immediately get down to business without unnecessary romance and foreplay. Another such occasion may not occur very soon. By the way, despite the impressive size of the leatherback sea turtle, it is far from being the largest of all turtles in history. There was one, to put it mildly, huge creature on the planet called Archelon. All of its remains, as of today, are dated from the late Cretaceous period about 70 million years ago. Most likely, the giant turtle, which weighed more than 2 tons, became extinct at the junction of the two periods, the Cretaceous and the Jurassic. However, while Archelon lived, it made a lot of noise in the underwater world. Its skull was about 27.5 inches long, and it had a large, curved beak resembling that of modern birds of prey. But of special interest are the front flippers. They were really huge, up to 16 feet in span. They served as an auxiliary tool along with an instrument for movement. The marine iguana is the calling card of the Galapagos Islands. This creature attracts from the first seconds with its appearance. It's very large, covered with scales, has a crest of bony plates on its back, formidable claws, and a cold, completely unemotional look that gives you goosebumps. It feels like a prehistoric monster, some kind of dinosaur in a reduced form, doesn't it? The marine iguana is a very agile and nimble creature that dives to a depth of 49 feet underwater and looks for the food it needs, which is usually algae and plants. The length of an adult is about 5 feet. The marine iguana weighs quite a bit, no more than 26 pounds. The fact that most of its body length is the tail. To be fair, it should be noted that it's not useless and helps it to swim greatly. The iguana's body coloration is mostly dark shades. It camouflages easily among rocks and bushes and does not fear attacks from predators. The marine iguana is confident in its beautiful innate armor. It also understands that if it's attacked by any predator from the shore, at the very least it can exhaust it. After all, the iguana is capable of holding its breath for as much as an hour. And here's one more important point. Spending a lot of time in the aquatic environment, the marine iguana significantly lowers its body temperature. There is no subcutaneous fat, which means it can be fraught with bad consequences. To avoid the trouble, these iguanas sunbathe after every long walk in the sea, thus normalizing heat exchange. Huge stingray. In Cambodia, fishermen accidentally spotted an incredibly huge stingray. Realizing that a local science center often conducts research on local waters, they contacted scientists and told them about an obscure object in the water that could be of value to them. People quickly arrived at the site and pulled a 661-pound stingray out of the Mekong River. It became the largest documented freshwater fish in the world. The stingray was measured in every way. DNA samples were taken, a sensor was attached to it, and it was released back into the water. It's strange that having such cool technology, people couldn't have come across this 13-foot-long stingray before. It seems impossible not to notice it. What's also hard not to notice is the manta ray, also known as the devilfish. This is the largest stingray species. The body width of some animals is up to 30 feet, and they weigh up to 6,600 pounds. The manta ray pectoral fins fuse with the head to form a diamond-shaped disc, the width of which exceeds its length. The front part of the pectoral fins are transformed into so-called cephalic fins. Unlike other stingrays, the manta ray's mouth is not at the bottom but at the frontal edge. When the ocean titan opens it, it seems that such a vortex could engulf any ship. Fortunately, this dweller of the depths feeds on zooplankton. Giant isopods. And now I will show you the representatives of the big Isopoda genus that lives in the great depth of the ocean and reach a length of 27.5 feet, weighing up to 4.5 pounds. It's unknown what made the crustacean demon grow so much, but the fact remains. These creepy creatures crawl along the bottom and look for food there. They're kind of infernal cleaners at the depth. They eat all the dead bodies below, as well as any other organic remains. Occasionally, giant isopods prey on sea cucumbers, starfish, and other creatures that move too slowly to escape the prospect of being eaten alive. Like woodlice, giant isopods have a kind of exoskeleton that allows them to curl up in a ball and protect their soft tissues in case of danger. They also have 7 pairs of legs, the front ones acting as food pushers. Imagine a creature which name translates simultaneously as big, long arms and weapon. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't risk encountering one. I'm talking about the Japanese spider crab, which can be incredibly large compared to its other relatives. For example, this spider crab often weighs 44 pounds, which is equivalent to the weight of a 6-year-old child. By the way, it's not only the largest of crabs, but also the largest arthropod. It can be 31 inches long and have 20-foot-long legs. Fortunately, it's not so easy to find such a monster because it lives at a depth of at least 492 feet and is perfectly camouflaged. In addition to long legs, the Japanese spider crab has 2 arms, each of which ends with a claw like its normal crab relatives. Males have larger claws than females. And now let's move from the water to land. Next, I'll show you the rarest animal fights caught on camera. Gorillas versus snakes. When it comes to the battle between a big ape and just one very small snake, we imagine it like this. The gorilla will come up, grab it strongly, and start flicking it, hitting it on the ground, jumping on it, throwing something at it, and so on. But, you know, in reality, the picture looks a little different. The situation took place in a nature reserve right in front of the tourists. A young gorilla spotted an intruder in a haystack and immediately called its congeners to chase it away together. Time went on, but no one showed any desire to deal with the creeping creature. It was still in the hay and the primates didn't act. In all likelihood, the instinct for self-preservation was triggered in each of them. They're not stupid enough to fight with some possibly dangerous and venomous creature for no reason. Well, yeah, a snake in a haystack, but it's quite likely that it'll stay there and somehow get out of it on its own. What do gorillas care about that? Basically, that's how it turned out. The gorillas beat their chests, gently tossed the leaves aside, and in the end they waited for the help of the people who came to the enclosure with the animals and took the snake with them. It seems to me that this is a perfect example of the fact that you never need to rush unless the situation urgently requires it. If the previous story showed us primates from their fearful side, here things are completely different. The primate is smaller than the creatures from the previous video, but it single-handedly took the cobra with its hand and gradually dragged it aside. It's amazing how the animal had such confidence at all. because the snake was furious, spread its hood, and kinda had to scare everyone around it. But apparently it doesn't apply to the monkey. The source doesn't say how the story ended, but something tells me that no matter how assertive the primate was, it led to nothing, and it and the snake parted peacefully. What does it want? That's probably what all the primates in the following video thought to themselves, since they unwittingly became victims of one big prank. These animals, as we all know, love bananas and other fruit. What happens if you put a banana in the open place and tie a snake to it? A fake one, of course. This is what happens. Primates, as practice shows, are willing to do anything just to taste their favorite treat. At first, the apes were more timid, but gradually, as they understood what was going on, their behavior became more and more courageous. They even ate the banana a few feet away from the snake, knowing that it shouldn't jump on them. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed the prank. It was really interesting to watch the primate's behavior in such a situation that requires constant attention. Get it? Harassment is a terrible process that's not unique to humans. In animals, it's also observed, but they seem to stop it on the spot, immediately, just like this giraffe did. It was standing there peacefully, not touching anyone, wandering around and enjoying life, but a rhino came up to it, and all it was doing was walking somewhere behind the giraffe. Of course, when you always have someone under your feet, you can't help but get mad. So the giraffe lost its nerve, and with one clear kick of its limb, chased the rhino away. Ugh, I'm just rewatching the moment of the kick, and just the sound of the hoof makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't think the rhino will ever pester it again. Turtle versus shark. Yes, I agree, the headline is so-so. After all, few people think that a turtle can last even 10 seconds with a shark. But as this video will show us, anything's possible. In this video, you can see how a tiger shark, one of the most aggressive species of these fish, attacked a rather small turtle right in the open sea. Growing up to 13 to 16 feet in length and weighing about half a ton, it's also one of the largest predatory sharks in the world. It's easy to distinguish it thanks to the stripes on its body, because of which it got its name. By the way, did you know that these stripes are mainly found only on young sharks? They're needed for camouflage until they grow up, but when they mature, the situation is turned upside down. That's understandable. Why would a shark need to camouflage and hide from someone if nature's given it a giant mouth with powerful jaws that can literally break the bones of its opponents? Nevertheless, the turtle in our video looks like some kind of Neo or Mr. Sturdy Shell 2023 because it skillfully dodged every attack of the predatory fish, didn't let itself be bitten, and in the end was rewarded for it. The turtle survived. Hit the like button if you also thought that the poor turtle wouldn't have a chance to escape from such a difficult situation. The battle for the female. Sometimes the battle for the female turns into a real battle for one's own life. That's exactly what happened to the black bucks in the following video. They were walking in the blazing sun and, despite this, decided to engage in a fight. The winner gained access to the harem, while the loser was doomed to be alone for the rest of the near future. However, the situation had a slightly different character. Everything turned out to be much more interesting and dangerous. The point is that very close to the battlefield, there were other predators, hungry wolves, ready to attack a weakened participant in the battle at any moment. Because of this, the price of a mistake was equal to life. While you're watching these animals use their horns and fight expertly, I'll tell you, for those who are hearing about this creature for the first time, the black buck is an antelope that lives by the principle, improvise, adapt, survive. Such life mindsets come complete with a modest body weight of up to 100 pounds. Elegant forms are combined with animal brutalism. The length of the horns of the hoofed animal can be as long as its own height. The uniqueness of the creation lies in the fact that wherever it lives, a separate group of black bucks adapts to each situation in different ways. They may roam endlessly or settle in place. They may muddle along on grassy lawns during the monsoon season, or come to humans' fields when it gets too dry. If food is scarce, they'll disperse and go in search of food alone. And when everyone can feed themselves, they gather again in giant herds. Because of such Spartan conditions, these antelopes grow into real warriors. Their gladiator nature is especially evident during the rutting season. The winner will get everything, just like this young male from the video, and the loser will have to take a little break and run away from sight with its incredible speed of up to 60 miles per hour. Camels are cute, cuddly, and memorable creatures. They have an extremely unusual appearance, greatly help people in the deserts, and just look racy, constantly attracting the attention of tourists. But who would have thought that there could be disagreements between representatives of this genus that would lead to fights? Yeah, I never thought before that camels could fight too. I thought that at most they'd kick the one that pesters them, or they'd throw them off the hump. It turns out that they're real brawlers. And this video proves it perfectly. It shows the humped creatures desperately kicking and punching. At first, they rubbed against each other like snakes and tried to do something with their heads. Then one of the camels resorted to a trick that allowed it to knock its opponent down and take the winning position. And then it started biting its opponent. I'm sure the camels have no problem with their jaws, so the bite was obviously extremely painful. By the way, here's an interesting fact. These camel fights are not that rare. For example, in Turkey, people especially gather in large groups and organize a whole show where this happens. Synchronized swimming. It's the sport that these two marmots from the following video should do, and now you'll understand why. It started, as usual, with questions about the female and an argument about courting it. One of the males noticed how the other was paying attention to its potential mate and was not indifferent. As soon as the female realized everything, it immediately ran away to the side in order to avoid being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the males began to sort out their relationship. And this is where their perfect synchronization manifested itself. I had the feeling that they were simply repeating each other's actions, doing so extremely quickly and surprisingly accurately. How else can one explain their synchronized paw movements, head turns, and so on? Anyway, no matter how cute or funny it looks from the outside, in fact, there was a fight right in front of our eyes, and it's silly to deny it. Fortunately, no one was injured in it. People watching from the sidelines startled the animals with the roar of the engine and separated the aggressors. Koalas Showdown. Koalas are cute, good-natured animals that look like plush toys. At least, that's how we used to think of them. But when mating season comes, we have to forget about their good-naturedness until better times. The fight of angry koalas is a sight you won't forget. In this video, the hungry-for-love male decided to ask the female for one favor, if you know what I mean. But it didn't care about the male at all. It immediately started squealing and kicking back. That's when it turned into a fistfight. The koalas were punching and biting each other, deafening the forest with wild screams. We haven't seen these cute creatures to behave like this yet. In the end, the male decided that this is a completely pointless activity that can only hurt it. It lowered its limbs in frustration and despair and staggered away from the female, while the latter, having calmed down a bit, returned to its growing babies. That's it for today. What from this episode impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.